preservatives.
Wait, Marantha.
Amarantha?
Marantha.
Marantha? I thought it was amaranth.
Amaranth is green.
Oh, I got
Beautiful purple grain. We're growing on
I'm
it.
dyslexic. Put the A.
Have you been to the farm yet?
No.
You coming out?
Oh, you mean Blue Lake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You been there?
Yeah.
You good for that?
Well, hang out. We're probably gonna have some time. Situations like that, I just like do whatever somebody tells me to do.
We would, first of all, we'd like dispel the rumor.
You think that's a good place to start, though? I mean, we definitely should have that. But maybe we should start with just like.
We were participating in nonviolent
Something like that.
action of the need to intervene.
So how about those of us? How about starting something like those of us who were involved with the incident at Pacific Lumber last Thursday wish to make the following statement. Those of us who were
present.
right, totally right. Okay, cool.
Those of us who were present during the death of our friend and fellow activist, David Gypsy Chain, would like to make the following statements and clarifications. Gypsy was a strong warrior who fought hard for the forest. His dedication and commitment to defending the earth is inspiring to all of us. Gypsy's death is not an isolated incident of violence. In the last several months, trees have been intentionally fallen at nonviolent activists in the Luna Tree Sit and the Mattole watershed. This is part of an escalation of violence against non-violent forest defenders in the Northwest and all over the world. The loggers were aware of our presence as we had engaged them in conversation throughout the day. In fact, the logger that felled the tree which killed our brother Gypsy had repeatedly threatened us with violence and chased us. He also purposely felled other trees in our direction. We never contrived a call and answer system. In truth, we ran for our lives. Basically, this is part of a series of lies and cover-ups to benefit Maxam corporations, including but not limited to the domino effect theory, the call and response communication, the claim they didn't know we were present, and the overall claim that Pacific Lumber operates safely. We would like to send our deepest sympathies to Gypsy's family, friends, and supporters, and all those beings killed by Maxam's destructive and greedy forest practices. Ongoing memorial services will be held off Highway 36, just past Grizzly Creek campground on the left, and we ask for the area to be preserved as a memorial site for David Gypsy Chain. This means all logging activities should be ceased.
So can you tell us what, from your perspective, what you saw yesterday leading up to this?
All right, I was there yesterday, and we were nonviolent protesters in the forest. We were protesting the logging of the steep slopes in the Grizzly area. The loggers had threatened us repeatedly. He threatened us with falling trees towards us, and he had chased us. And we had grouped up. We had kind of had a meeting and decided that we were going to go tell them that we were going to leave. That we asked that they don't log. They don't come back tomorrow. They don't log tomorrow. And we were walking over, yelling out that we were there. Don't fall the tree. That we're coming towards them. We're next to them on the hill. Don't fall the tree. And we just starting to go. And I didn't see anybody else at that time. I went into survival mode, and I just jumped underneath some bushes and small trees. And I turned over and looked up, and through this little clearing in the sticks and the twigs in the tree, I saw a huge Doug fir coming down, and it landed approximately 6 feet away from me, and I was scared for my life. And I'm lucky that I was underneath the little trees because they stopped the branches from Doug Fir from hitting me. And I stood up and brushed myself off, and I looked around, and everybody started to stand up and look around, and we all congregated on the spot where the tree was laying. And the logger who had fallen the tree and the logger who had threatened us previously came over as well because we were yelling at him that he almost killed us. And then one of us realized that our friend Gypsy was, we didn't know where he was. We were looking around for him, we were calling his name, we couldn't find him. And the logger was the first to see him. He was lying near the tree, down the slope from where he had been last time I saw him. And he had massive head trauma, and he was unconscious. He was lying perfectly still. One of us said that we should pray, so we all kind of knelt down. The logger knelt down also, and we asked him, after that we asked him to go call 911, and he ran up the hill. And I decided that I should leave and tell everybody what had happened, all the people at Action Camp. And so I left. It was back at Action Camp that I found out that he was dead.
Was the logger who's on that videotape making all those threats the same one who felled the tree that hit David?
Yes.
So that's the same guy?
Yes.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, I'm very sure.
Was it an accident?
Yeah.
I believe he was following them in our direction on purpose to scare us. I don't believe that he realized what he was doing, but once he did warn us. He told us that he said, if you stay there, I'm going to fall trees in this direction. I'm going to fall trees over here.
Hi, my name's Air, and one thing I'd like to bring out on that point is that Maxam Pacific's policy on this matter is very unclear, and I believe really the base of this whole situation. They have continuously allowed dangerous activities to take place and perhaps encouraged. And what I'm really interested in is what is Maxam Pacific's policy on operating falling trees when there are people in the woods, because clearly trees should not be falling at all when people are in the woods. And the minute that faller saw people in the woods, his first reaction through the company should have been to turn off his chainsaw. And it is obvious the company is not encouraging him to do that type of tree, and perhaps, and I really do believe, encourages the fallers to try to scare us. And really that is what we really should be focusing on.
So do you feel that that's what was happening, that tape shows that they were trying to scare you, basically?
Without a doubt, they were trying to scare us, and they were playing with fire in a big way.
Do you feel that it was unintentional to actually...
I don't think that man wanted to kill anybody, and I really do want to, send out prayers for him and his family and his friends. And I personally am praying that this incident will help bring us together, where the community and environmentalists and workers can work together to come up with a way that we all get what we want and need and honor this earth without the corporations having to plunder our resources and cut and run.
There's a statement by the sheriff's office that it was quiet for an hour after the last time before you came back. Is it possible the logger didn't know you were there at the last fatal time?
I would say 20 to 30 minutes, and yeah, I do think that's possible. So it's a possibility. In the end, once he saw us, his first reaction should have been to turn off the chainsaw, and that's what the company should be telling their workers, and not telling them to try to scare us. I mean, I know it's a hassle to get the police out there, I know it's a hassle to get security out there, and they don't really want to deal with it, but in our society, that's the way we're supposed to deal with it. We're not supposed to deal with it by trying to scare people or kill people. We're supposed to go through the appropriate channels, which is the security personnel and the police, and that's really what they should be doing.
I hope you'll understand the question. There's obviously some folks who are going to say that you and David were putting yourself in danger's way and that in harm's way, and so that kind of thing was bound to happen at some point. And in fact, that's one of the things that Pacific Lumber's CEO is saying. It was bound to happen at some point. We're surprised it didn't happen before. In some way, do you bear some responsibility for being out there in the first place, trespassing where you shouldn't have been in a dangerous area?
Yes, we did. We willingly risked our lives to protect the forest, and this time somebody got killed.
I take responsibility for, like, I know that it was a risk up there and that there's potential for danger to happen, but that to not let go of the point that when you're in a position and you're claiming to be nonviolent and of peace and you're going to engage to talk to a person and they have tools and huge machinery and huge power over you, then they should be conscientious of that and should know that they should be also taking steps to settle the matter as peacefully as possible and always in mind that safety is first.
Pacific Lumber's putting out another press release today. They're saying they're calling on Earth First to stop organizing activities that send people in harm's way. They're saying the Headwaters deal is done, Headwaters is saved. Why keep this up?
The Headwaters deal is not done. The Habitat Conservation Plan is a scam. It's just a way to disempower the Endangered Species Act. We have to be in the forest to do the California Department of Forestry's job. That's why we were out there yesterday, because the California Department of Forestry is not doing their job, and we have to do it for them.
What's your name?
Michael McCurney.
My name's Zoe. What I witnessed yesterday was a very angry and violent logger. When we first approached him, he was very angry. He was yelling out curse words. He made one statement, I wish I had my pistol, I'm going to start packing it tomorrow. And he also warned people to put a hard hat on. You better wear hard hats, because this one's coming for you. The direction that the trees were falling in changed once he noticed we were there. They were falling down this way, and then he changed them over in the way of the activists.
Which means what?
Which means that I feel that he started falling trees at people.
Deliberately.
I feel that he was trying to scare the people, and I feel that he may not have known inside that he was trying to do more, but it turned into more. He, the whole time, yelled obscenities at us. He was very upset.
Was he the same guy? Actually, that same guy on the videotape we're hearing yelling all those words is the same one who actually was responsible for it?
And I was very scared for my life because I thought he might have some kind of pistol or something like that.
And was there a domino effect? He fell one tree, which hit another, which then...
There was no domino effect. Once you mark the tree where it's going to fall, it falls on its own. The tree that he felled that hit David Gypsy Chain was the tree he cut. There was no domino effect.
The sheriff's department says that because of the position of the body and the position of the tree, they're leaning towards calling this an accident. Can you tell me where the body was lying?
The body was lying underneath the tree. It was very painful to see. A fellow activist and I prayed next to him for a very long time. And his body was discombobulated. And from the way it looked, a limb hit him first, and the tree hit him, and it was instantaneous blow to the head.
This logger who actually did this came down and prayed with you too?
He did come down and pray on his knees and ask forgiveness. And then we yelled for help, and they didn't have radios on their crew. I ran up towards the other ward crew and asked him to get a radio. He said he didn't have a radio, asked him for his name. He said, I just hit somebody, don't talk to me, got in his truck and drove off. And the ward crew was on the other side operating the yarder that called the ambulance and called the police.
How do you feel about this logger? I mean, he was yelling at you one moment, praying with you the next.
I feel that he didn't realize what could become of his actions. I feel that he's a hurting man inside right now. That he voiced a lot of things that he did out of anger.
I think it's important that we don't treat this as an isolated incident. This has been a routine practice, falling trees towards activists, falling trees with activists in them. It's a wonder that people haven't gotten hurt sooner. This isn't just one logger. You've seen the tape, that's typical. That's typical of the way some of the loggers, not all of them, but there are some of the loggers who have been acting like that, and the police have routinely refused to file charges against anybody who assaults a forest activist. They have, all along the history of this movement, given out the message that it's all right to hurt Earth Firsters, and I believe they share some of the complicity in this crime.
Hello, I'm Jake. In order to add to that, shed a little light on that statement that he just made, I would refer everybody to the Luna video where Julia has footage of a logger falling a tree at her, and they apparently lost control of one of the trees that they were falling at her, and it almost hit her and almost knocked her out of her platform.
I think the laws are really very clear that you cannot endanger people's lives like that, and this is an accident, I believe, but I also strongly feel there's a high amount of negligence involved.
So the Forest Practices Act states that loggers are not supposed to fall trees within 100 feet of people, and they violated the Forest Practices Act. Pacific Lumber has been violating Forest Practices Acts for years now, and California Department of Forestry has been notified of this. We've been doing rallies there, we've had legal people go there lobbying the legislation, and they continue to do nothing about it. Last year they took away their license for 1 week and rubber stamp approved every THP that they brought to them. When are we going to stop this destruction? Do we have to be out there every day risking our lives for the destruction to stop, or we're going to have clear cuts ongoing, and then we have mudslides? I don't know what else to do as an activist but to put my life on the line, and I feel I can't speak for other activists, but when the agencies that are supposed to be helping the people aren't doing their jobs, it's up to the people. And I don't know what else we can do.
They pretty much gave us a runaround, and we went into the woods. I went into the woods to hopefully not even have to do anything, because CDF would show up and do their investigation, and there would be no operations. But the fact was, they weren't there doing an investigation like they should have been, and the trees were still falling. So we went into action.
Will you do it again?
Yes.
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 I think I would definitely do it again, but I think it's also important for people out there who believe in something and have a truth inside them to be able to stand up and voice that and have it be safe. People are allowed to protest and have their lives be safe. So I just encourage everybody to round up and that we're all united as one. Us, the loggers, the whole world, we're all together. And that if you have a truth and you want to stand up for justice, that you should do that and you should be safe.
Give whatever you have to Sawyer to give to steal it. Who's that, Bonnie?
No. Is there a place that they put their paper?
How many years do you have, Farmer?
How old am I?
Yeah, I mean, how old are you?
Yeah, 16.
Okay. And what brought you to this movement? How long have you been a part of it?
Well, I started in September, a year ago, September, and I went to the rally. My mom took me to the rally, and after the rally, I went back to school, and then I got out of school, and because it was really boring and nothing compared to this. So I took a test to get out of school, and I got up here about 3 months ago.
The fate of the Headwaters deal was uncertain.
Right.
What were you doing during that period of uncertainty?
I was bottom lining Bell Creek tree and sitting in Bell Creek, and that was mostly it. I was concentrating on that. Is these two old growth trees that have there's a village in them. There's one net in the bigger tree named Inanna, and there's 2 nets in the smaller tree named Thisbe, and there's a traverse between the two. And they're next to Bell Creek. There's a THP filed on Bell Creek, and the THP basically ran alongside the creek, and it would destroy the creek side. It would cause the creek side to wash into the creek. And almost all the trees have been cut that were planned to be cut, except for the 2 trees that we've sat in. And there's trees around there they can't cut either, because if they cut those trees, it'll fall into the traverse, which is strung between the two.
Have they made any threatening kind of activities?
But yeah, before I got involved, climber Dan climbed up there, and Yarrow and Orange were up there, and they stopped him.
What led up to the death of Gypsy yesterday? Why did you go in that morning? What was the purpose of being in there?
The plan was to inform them that they were cutting on a slope that was unstable, and that CDF was going to do a survey in that area, and that they shouldn't cut, because if that area was going to be saved, then it would need as many trees as possible left standing. So we went in there with the intention to talk to them, and which is what we did. And we got there and we started talking to them, and one of them chased us. He chased us and he threatened us. He said that he wished he had his gun, and he said that if we stayed in the area, he was going to fall trees towards us.
Did you have any expectation that there would be a inspection by CDF yesterday?
They said there was going to be, but we really doubted it. That's why we went in. We went in to do their job. I think it was an environmental impact survey. I'm not quite sure about that. But we were asking them to look at the slope and see how stable it was, and we were asking them to see if there was any violations pertaining to the Endangered Species Act. See if there was any bulldozers or anything going too close to the murrelet habitat in the area.
Shortly after you're in there, you make contact with
Right.
a group of loggers. How large a group were they?
There were 2 loggers that we made contact with.
2. And one of them starts yelling obscenities at you.
Yes, and chasing us. And he chased us first, and then he went back to the tree that he was cutting, and he felled that one. He was already cutting that one, so that was already aimed downhill, so that went downhill. And then we went back and talked to him again. This time he didn't bother to chase us. Then he felled the tree towards us. He did give us a warning that he was falling at us, and that we should better leave, otherwise it's going to hit us. And we left. We heard it going, and then we went back, and he warned us again. And this time we left to go, and we kind of scattered at that point, and then we grouped in this little thicket type place, and we sat down and we ate a small snack. And meanwhile, he felled the tree, and it fell maybe within 50 feet of us. And it was really scary. I kind of froze because we thought the tree was gonna at least come real close to us, maybe hurt us. But that one didn't get us, and there was the decision made to tell him that we were gonna leave, and that he probably shouldn't come back tomorrow because CDF would hopefully show up then. And so I was headed over there, and I saw the people were in front of me. There were some people in front of me, including Gypsy. We knew he was cutting, and people were yelling at him to stop. And I could hear the chainsaw going, and he felled the tree this time without any warning. And I heard it starting to crack, and I ran, and I kind of dove underneath some bushes and small trees. And I turned around and looked up, just in time to see it coming at me. This huge Doug fir, and it came around approximately 6 feet of me. The main trunk landed at 6 feet from me, and I think it rolled down the hill a little bit after that. Then I got up and collected my wits, and I looked around. People started to also stand up, and then one of us realized that Gypsy was missing, and she was calling out his name and looking for him. Somebody started yelling at the logger who had cut the tree, and he came over, and then he found Gypsy's body. He saw the body before I saw him, and he came over and looked at it, and then I didn't see too much emotion. I saw maybe a little bit of regret, but I went down, and then someone proposed that we all pray for him, and the logger kneeled down and prayed. We asked him to go call the cops, and he ran up the hill, and I don't really know what happened after that with him. But then I left to spread the word of what had happened. I tried to kind of like stop for then and try to gather my senses enough to be able to find my way back down the hill. And so I went down the hill. I kind of just like tried to forget about it a little bit, telling myself that he was alive still and that I could possibly help him by going out and spreading the word. And I got down the hill and I went to the Grizzly base camp, Grizzly campground, and I went and I told people there what had happened, and they were really scared. And someone drove me over to the action camp, and I told everybody there what had happened. We had a big circle, and people were crying in that circle and sharing stories about him. One of the stories was kind of he had been a grizzly a little while before that, near the tree sit, and he and these two women who he had some gear that was really cool that they usually wore, and so they kind of playfully wrestled it away from him, and then they made this deal that he had to tell them these cool stories and show them how to solve these brain puzzles he had, these brain teasers he had, and I forgot what else. Oh, he had to quit smoking for a week.
You're one of the younger members of the camp, maybe the youngest one there at this point?
There was one that was six weeks old.
Oh,
yeah.
But, talk to me about coming of age in this context where you're not surrounded by peers. I noticed that you were just as apt to serve as the spoke when somebody had to call AP as anyone else.
Yeah.
That there was
it's
very little ageism.
Yeah, very little. It's really easy being my age because I think people even are really enthusiastic when I get involved in something because I'm really young and they like to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes Mike. You ready? All right.
And dirt's up there, so.
Right.
So are we supposed to go to Guinan?
If you can get there and you want to.
Where is it?
Okay.
I've got 35 years of weeping behind that song. Tree standing by the water, who shall not be moved. I saw it bring tears to your eyes tonight, Sawyer. Can you sum up what this epic is for you right now?
Gypsy. He's an incredible guy. I remember stick fighting him in Bell Creek about a year ago when I first saw him. We spent a long time together up on a huge tree structure we were building in Bell Creek. First met Gypsy out in Bell Creek, 1997, I guess it was about a year ago.
What kind of man was he?
It was about exactly a year ago, actually. It was exactly a year ago I met him. And we were out in the forest together. He always had a real loosely rolled smoke in his mouth, some suspenders. And he picked up on things really fast. We'd just talk about something and we'd go on a long hike and he'd pick it all up, and he was always where the action was. He always wanted to be involved. He helped us build the big tree sit out in Bell Creek, a gigantic structure. We lived on it for over a month, that and some other places we were setting up in the trees. He had to take off to Texas. But I just remember stick fighting him and just being so happy to be around. We were planning to go on a trip to New York together. But he always had the biggest grin, he was smiling, and everyone loved him. He's an incredible fellow.
I interviewed you 9 months ago maybe, and you seem a man a decade older today to me than you were then. Like, as if you have lived a decade within a year. This is a new season. Yeah. Every season that begins with the 15th of September has been a different one for forest land activists.
Well, he came back to the camp we had in Myers Flat in Williams Grove, right near Myers Flat. And I saw him, and it was so good to see him. I really wanted to spend more time with him, but I was in a different camp, and I didn't get to hang out with him too much. We went tree climbing a few times, and we kept talking about how we were going to stick fight, and he had these 2 sticks all lined up. We were going to go down to the creek and play. Never got to do that. I know where those 2 sticks are still. We hung out for the first part of the week. In the second part of the week, he was involved in Grizzly Creek, checking out the area, and it happened so quick, just taken away. Everyone is still in complete and total shock, and it's not helping at all to hear people cover up their actions and the company covering up people they're affiliated with's actions. It's pretty disheartening and empowering at the same time. People are dying out there. And I can't believe it didn't happen in the Atoll. I was out there and saw the anger and the evil going on. And it was deliberate, falling trees straight towards people. I'm surprised it didn't happen then. I'm surprised it didn't happen in Owl Creek when logger fell a tree with me up in it, 37 feet up there. They're getting angry and chasing people around. It's been years and years since it's been going on, and no one's been killed. Except Judy Berry, and now it's Gypsy.
I hope you take that stick that Gypsy would have used in his mock battle with you and plant it like a spear on the banks of Grizzly.
We're going to Austin to see his folks, and I'll send a prayer with everyone that gives some time in their day just to sit quietly and give a prayer to what he was fighting for, and what Judy Berry was fighting for what we're all been working so hard. Right now is the time to be sending prayers and being active to try and stop this.
I was up in a tree, a little tree, an oak tree, and maybe 30 feet up, and they came down. They bring their kids along, chase us around while they cut, so that kids can chase us, and then they can still cut. And so the kids came down and guarded the bottom of my tree until he came over, and he put a big wedge cut in the tree, and then he cut the back cut for about 3/4 of the way, and then he stopped. And then he went up the hill, and these kids guarded the bottom of my tree for the rest of the day.
When you say kids, you don't mean 7, 8, 9-year-olds?
No, maybe 18, 16. On every logger that came by, he said, "Hey, you want me to cut that tree down? You want me to climb up here and get her?" And they said, "No, just leave her up there, just leave her up there." And so then they just continued to cut, and they felled trees that were pretty close to where I was, and for the rest of the day, and they just left me up there, and then they all left, and I climbed down. And then a couple days later, I climbed up another tree, and the logger climbed up after me, and he got up to me, and he grabbed onto me, and he cut all my safeties down, so he's holding me under his arm with no safeties or anything, and then he climbs back down the tree, and they tied my hands behind my back and duct taped my ankles and carried me up to the road. Or I guess they duct taped my ankles after I got to the road, and then they guarded me on the road all day till the police came. One guy, they fell a tree, and he had to leap out of the tree he was in, to just barely missing this tree hitting him. And there's another guy who was up in a tree, and they tied his hands behind his back and punched him in the stomach, and they tied him all up while he was up 60 feet in this tree. They climbed up after him, and they were going to lower him down. He said, no, I'll climb down myself. I'll climb down myself. And they said, all right, and they took it all off and let him climb down. Then they took him in, and they put paying compliance holds on people in the trees to get them down, and they were... It's really mean.
A man died in the woods yesterday. How has that impacted you?
I can't go out in the woods right now anyways, because I'm in court for all these other things, and if I get caught, then I'd have a lot of serious repercussions, and so I haven't thought about it in that way, whether or not I would go back out there. I'm sure that I would, but it makes everything kind of cloudy, and but I'm still here. I'm not going.